Okay, Stig, Happy New Year.
Yeah, happy New Year to you, Jay, and happy New Year to everybody else.
Did you have a nice quiet one or busy?
Yeah, I'm old now. I'm old now. So it's always a very quiet one these days.
In bed by 10, yeah?
Absolutely right. Well, you can Sky Plus the bongs from the previous year and watch them, can't you? It's the same, and watch the same fireworks display again. So it's all good.
In bed with your cocoa.
Oh, you're not wrong.
Yeah. So obviously the Christmas results didn't go as well as we'd have liked. We went into the festive period with that good performance and result at Scunthorpe, but sadly didn't follow it up with the defeats against Kiddie and Leamington.
Yeah, disappointing. Obviously, the Scunthorpe performance was a really good one against a full-time side, and I think we general consensus is we probably deserved to win that game, or we certainly had the better of it. Um, Kidderminster on Boxing Day in front of a fantastic crowd, and I can't thank our supporters enough for turning up in numbers. It was a take away the football match and the result. It was just a brilliant day for the club. I thought it was just really great to see the ground so full. But I just thought on the day, I thought Kidderminster were brilliant on the day, to be perfectly honest, as much as it pains me to say that. I think speaking to their officials after the game, they said it was as well as they've played all season, if not their best performance of the season. And actually, sometimes you just have to hold your hands up and say you lost to the better team on the day. And I said to several people afterwards, I absolutely detest losing, but actually I find it easier to deal with a defeat when the other team have just been better than you on the day than, when you play poorly, or when you play poorly against a team you expect to beat, or when you actually lose a game you don't deserve to lose. So it was just one of those things. I thought not only did Kidderminster play really well on the day, they scored two absolute snotters, and then even the second goal was a brilliant finish. Tope had a lot to do, and that was a great finish. So I understand why people are frustrated, because obviously it's a derby match and everything. But sometimes I just think you have to give credit to the opposition. And on the day they were better than us. I don't think it was a true reflection of the gap between the two teams, to be honest. But actually, on the day they were far better than us, and it was just one of those things. The Leamington game was a little different, and was a little bit frustrating because when we equalised early in the second half, I actually thought there's probably only one winner in the game at that point in time, because we were completely dominant. But again, it just went against us. We conceded a goal. And then, despite our best efforts, really, we never really got back on terms. Obviously, Jaden was unfortunate with a penalty. Their keeper obviously started and ended the game with brilliant saves, which is kind of just our luck in some ways. But it was just disappointing because we had a fantastic travelling support. I thought that 500 plus on New Year's Day in those weather conditions off the back of Boxing Day was a fantastic effort. Shouldn't be a surprise, but yeah, it was just frustrating. But equally, there's a long way to go. Yeah, I thought there were some quite emotional reactions, I think, to the Leamington defeat, and I understand it. But equally, I looked at the table and I thought there's 22 games left to go yet. We're only just over halfway through. I'm sure the lads were disappointed with the performance, but equally, none of them play badly deliberately. And I sometimes just think we've got to be a little bit more sympathetic to them. And I know that's not easy, and I know it's frustrating, but I just think sometimes you've got to take a step back and think about it. And I would just remind people that actually, while I completely get the frustration, just try and remember to be respectful of both sets of players, really, in some ways. I know there was a few comments on social media and a few things reported about the game. And I just ask supporters, I'd never ask people to, never remove your passion, because it's the passion that makes our fan base so brilliant. But let's try and be a little bit respectful of people and just remember what you're saying. And we don't need incidents where, beers are thrown at players celebrating goals and items are thrown onto the pitch or any of that type of stuff. We just don't want that sort of reputation. And absolutely 100%, I understand why people are frustrated, but I just ask people just to keep, remain responsible and just remember that we're all ambassadors for this football club at the end of the day. And one small incident actually can tar the name of the football club. So I just ask people just to remember that. And like I said, I don't in any way, shape or form want people to rein in their passion for the club, but I would just remember to have some responsibility.
Yeah, we can quickly just go back to the Kiddie game and obviously the 4,900 plus gate. Just a word for the staff and the volunteers, because obviously a gate of that size does bring in the increased kind of workload for those staff and volunteers, and especially over the festive season. So a big pat on the back for all of those hard-working volunteers and staff.
It's just a massive thank you to everybody involved in getting the game on. Obviously, it was an early kickoff, which again reduced the amount of time in terms of preparation and everything, both on the day and in the build-up. Obviously, it'd been the holiday season as well, so we hadn't got the normal sort of Friday ahead of the game that we would normally have. And actually, it's just a huge credit to our football club that we can host a crowd of nigh on 5,000. And it passes off without any real incident or any, anything going wrong. There's, all our volunteers, ticket office staff, turnstiles, just everyone involved, our medical provider, our stewarding provider, or you and your team in the office. Just massive thanks to everybody. I don't think unless you're involved in that, you can understand what a big event that is to host at our level. I think it was only just short of being the highest crowd of the season in the entire league, which is brilliant. But it just shows that it heartens me really in terms of what we can be as a football club if we continue to move in the right direction. Just so thank you to everybody involved. Thank you to all the supporters that turned up as well. It was a great atmosphere, and perhaps the only thing that didn't go our way was the result.
Well, looking back to the pitch, and Paul's kind of tried to freshen things up by bringing in a new goalkeeper, and obviously Chappers has moved out. So Paul's been working hard to try and kind of get back to winning ways.
Yeah, absolutely right. He never stops. He's been working throughout the season. He's been incredibly patient in terms of looking to bring people in, trying to change the squad. He said in one of his post-match interviews that he's always had budget available to try and make changes or bring people in, but he won't just bring people in for the sake of it. He's still got options as it stands at the moment in terms of adding, strengthening to the squad, adding the squad. It's always sad to see people move on. Obviously, Chappie's moved on, and we thank Chappie for his service in the early part of the season. We've obviously Tom and Ryan have both returned to their parent clubs from loan spells, and both have done themselves a huge amount of credit since they've been at the club, and we thank them for all that they've done. They both came in at sort of different, almost difficult times a little bit in terms of the need for us to bring in numbers, and both have done brilliantly. And we wish them all the very best with their career from moving forward. And if they continue to play in the way they played for us, then you'd like to think they're going to go on and have good careers. But yeah, Paul's continuing to look to freshen up. He wants to try and strengthen. This is the time of year to try and strengthen. We've got ourselves into a decent position, but I'm sure there are at least 12 other clubs thinking the same thing. So we can't stand still, and none of the other clubs will be thinking they can stand still either. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens over the next 2-3 weeks as Paul continues to scour the market for what he thinks he needs. And I enjoy the WhatsApp exchanges I have with him, where he's giving me an update on what's happening. It's like become a small child and a fan again when you see things, what he's thinking of doing and stuff.
Looking away from the playing side of things, obviously floodlights are an ever ongoing topic.
Do we have to talk about floodlights?
Yeah. It's obviously given us a few sleepless nights, but hopefully we're kind of getting there. There's two issues at the minute, isn't there? Obviously the new floodlights that are currently sat on site and struggling to be installed, but compounded by the fact that the turnstile, the floodlight in the Meadow End, Len Weston corner, decided to pack in altogether recently as well.
Yeah, no, pretty much. It feels a bit like everything that could have gone wrong in relation to floodlights has gone wrong over the course of the last 4 or 5 months. It's incredibly frustrating, and I completely understand why supporters are asking questions about it all the time, because we are internally as a club as well. We've continued to work on the whole floodlight issue over Christmas period. It's not been easy, because understandably businesses closed down over Christmas, and so we haven't been able to progress things greatly. But we have had 2 meetings over Christmas where we think we're hopefully coming towards a resolution in terms of what's going to happen with the installation of the new floodlights. We just got to wait for some more information and some more details to be put together. So we're hopeful that that's going to start to move forward in terms of us being able to update people on what the plan is for getting those sorted. So that'll be a weight off everybody's mind, I think, once we know exactly what the plan is with those new floodlights. And then we've obviously had the issue with the floodlight that decided it didn't want to be a floodlight anymore towards the end of the Scarborough game. And I know you've been in detailed conversation with the contractor over Christmas, and we're pretty hopeful that we will be able to repair that floodlight as a short-term repair. Basically, actually, it's something that would probably need doing will need doing for the new floodlights anyway, the work that's required. So it's from that point of view, we've got to go ahead and get it done. So, but we are hopeful that we should be able to restore our fourth pylon and the lights on the fourth pylon fairly quickly. It probably won't be in time for this weekend. So we've already taken the decision and agreed with Warrington that the game this weekend is going to kick off at 1 o'clock. And, we apologise for any inconvenience that causes, but it's unavoidable because, again, getting the repairs, electrical contractors only back in work this week, and therefore the repairs aren't going to be carried out in time to be able to test them ahead of Saturday's fixture. But we are hopeful that this will be the only game now moving forward that has to be a 1 o'clock kickoff between now and the end of the season, and everything should be back in working order not long after that.
After a little bit of a break because of the game being postponed on Saturday, it's busy again with 2 home games on this weekend. The first team on Saturday, and the women's team here. Obviously, both games subject to the weather conditions, but the women's team hosting Ludlow here on Sunday.
Yeah, no, their first game back after Christmas. Unsurprisingly, their fixture yesterday bit the dust like a lot of fixtures did. It would have been probably better suited to water polo, I think, or some sort of winter related sport if the weather's been like it has over here. But yeah, no, I bet they'll be glad to get going as well, to be dust the cobwebs off after a long break. Actually, it's probably been best part of a month since they've had a fixture, so they'll be delighted to get on the field again, and hopefully they can just continue to build on the fantastic work that they've done so far. And hopefully they're playing Ludlow on Sunday, aren't they? And hopefully they can continue their promotion push, because I think they would all say it's really important they try and move to the next level to try and continue to develop, and we wish them all the best with that. And hopefully they'll be hopefully both games will be on this weekend and they can start getting the fixtures. What we don't want in any of our teams is a backlog.
Yeah, 2 o'clock kickoff here at Edgar Street on Sunday for the women's team. Obviously on Saturday, we had some volunteers here helping to cover the pitch. The pitch currently covered completely in the frost covers, and there's a bit of cold weather coming in kind of the middle to back end of this week, so hopefully that's going to help ensure the game goes ahead on Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Thanks again to all the people who came along and helped with the frost covers on Saturday afternoon. And then there was also a gang that helped move the frost covers at the away end, I think, ahead of the Boxing Day game against Kidderminster as well. So thanks to everybody that came along and helped and got involved. I was looking at X over the weekend. The frost covers across the country were having a good outing over the weekend, weren't they? There were pictures not always successfully, but there were pictures all over the country covered with the frost covers, weren't there? But yeah, no, thanks again for everybody who turned up on Saturday afternoon. It makes a huge difference to us, and poor old Ben and his mini army of people mobilised again, and thanks to everybody.
Yeah, they will obviously need to be mobilised again either Friday afternoon or Saturday morning, depending on the weather and when Ben needs those covers to come up. So I'm sure Toby will be putting an appeal out on social media at some point this week. So if anyone's spare, that would be great, because it is a job. The more hands make it a lot easier, believe me.
But you can pencil me in. If it's a Saturday morning job, Jay, I shall be there, so you can pencil me in for that. So I won't bring any skill, but I can try and bring some muscle.
That's all I don't even bring the muscle, but I try.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
As long as you're not in your shorts again like you were on Saturday. It's no wonder it's rained since, is it?
It was lovely weather Saturday. It wasn't that bad.
No, absolutely right.
Yeah. That's everything I think that I've got, unless you've got anything to add.
No, nothing really. I mean, what I would, like to just say is to everybody, every supporter out there, thank you so much for, everything you've done and all the support you've given the team so far this season. It's been a promising first 24 games. I think it's 24 games we've played now, isn't it? It's been a promising first 24 games. We're in a decent position. I know we're looking ahead to try and better our position, but I just say to everybody, there's going to be ups and downs undoubtedly between now and the end of the season. Good days and bad, hopefully more good than bad. But I think it's just about, I'd say to people, let's just try and, as much as we possibly can, just try and keep our sort of equilibrium a little bit, and we don't win 4-0 on Saturday, become the best team in the world, and we don't put in a disappointing performance another week and become the worst team in the world. So, as I said, we all know football's an emotional game, but I think it's worth us all remembering that I don't believe any footballer or any player puts in a bad performance deliberately. These lads are all part-time, so there's lots going on that doesn't always give them the best opportunity to prepare for football matches. So it's just having that little bit of patience and that little bit of appreciation of that. And I completely understand that people pay their money, and that gives them the opportunity to say, to voice their view. But what I would just say to people is try and remember to do it respectfully. We're all human beings at the end of the day. Even me, allegedly, I'm a human being too. So let's just try and stick together as best we can, within the club, outside the club. And I think if we do all stick together, we have a far better chance of achieving what we want to achieve. And there are rumours out there that the club isn't interested in promotion. I've read rumours myself, but I can categorically state that we absolutely are. It would bring challenges, and there are challenges now, but I can categorically state that there is no one at the football club that doesn't want to see our club playing at the highest possible level that it can, and we'll continue to strive to do that.
I was listening to a podcast with Zach Brown, the CEO of McLaren, on the weekend, and going into the final race, when obviously McLaren were going head to head with Ferrari for the Constructors' Championship, he went out and got some kind of little bits of advice from sports stars from kind of different sports, and he said one of the kind of overriding messages was don't get too low with your lows and don't get too high with your highs. And I guess that's probably what we're kind of saying moving forward. We're going to have some highs and some lows, but kind of balance it out, because it's a long way. It's a marathon, yet not a sprint.
Yeah, I feel a complete hypocrite, really, because in the past, as a fan, I've been as guilty as anybody has been, high and low. And I've actually surprised myself generally with how kind of level I've managed to remain since I've become chairman. I think it's because my son Fred, he feels he has to operate emotionally on my behalf. But you're right, it's about just trying to keep that balance. You don't become a world beater one week, and then the truth is somewhere in the middle, isn't it, most of the time? So I think we've just all got to try and remember that. And like I said, I absolutely adore the passion that we have within our fan base and the passion that our supporters show. But equally, I would just ask people, just to remember that it can go either way. And unfortunately, it's very, very frustrating. But unfortunately, the teams we come up against always want to win as well. And I think that is incredibly selfish that they turn up wanting to win, because it would be much easier if they didn't. But you have to remember that. And sometimes other teams are just better than you on the day. And that's just one of those things. But yeah, generally, I think we've got a lot to look forward to, hopefully a lot to be excited about. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out.
Yeah, I think it took me a good few days to get over the Kidderminster game, and on the way back from Leamington, I don't think a word was said in our car until we got to the services at Hopwood, I think. So it's never nice to lose, but you've got to try and kind of look on the positives. And I think what Paul's doing behind the scenes now, hopefully bringing in the keeper, hopefully maybe another player or two as well, will hopefully give that kind of little bit of positivity and something to kind of look forward to in January.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the end of that, I've got absolutely no doubt at all that the people hurting, the players and the staff on the football side were hurting as much as we were after the defeat at Leamington, and as the supporters were. So I think we just have to remember that, because I think we've got a really good, solid, genuine group of players, and they do genuinely care, and they do have feelings for this football club. So let's get behind them, let's stick with them, and hopefully we'll all get some rewards as we move towards the end of the season.
Brilliant, lovely. Well, I'll see you online on Wednesday and in person on Saturday, hopefully, weather permitting.
Yeah, see you later in the week, Jay.
Take care. Bye.
Top man.